So in lesson 2 of the consensus theories of society, we looked at the perspective of Parsons. We recalled the agile needs according to Parsons that we looked at the previous lesson about the evolution from traditional to modern society. So we need to make sure that we identify the key ideas of these theorists, apply them to ideas using the theoretical perspectives and key terms and examples. You can draw examples, remember, from anywhere that you've learned: families, media, education and crime and deviance, to support your ideas in theory. And then the A star you can get to evaluate the usefulness of the theory through application and creation of context. So looking at where these things might occur, and also thinking about alternative methods that might have an opinion that differs from what we've looked at. So Parsons then, he says we have 4 basic social needs for society, which are known as the acronym AGILE. We adapt, so the social system changes to meet the material needs of society. We all set shared goals or personal goals as well, but within the social system, remember this is a structuralist view, we set goals to create and achieve resources that are created. Through integration, we have systems that work together to achieve shared goals, and it says at the bottom there things like religion, family, education. But also we have latency, which is a maintenance of society through kinship systems of support, where our families have adapted and evolved but support one another within this agile system. Without these, then society, through periods of change, would become anomic. So Parsons' organic analogy is based on the idea that change occurs through a slow and evolutionary process. It doesn't happen quickly. People learn to adapt and change over time, and they're happy to do that because they can see that there's a goal to be achieved, something really positive out of it. Through this, we learn from things like the institutions like family, religion, and so on, and our families help us to cope through the latency. So people cope through this change, through this evolutionary process, by using the agile mechanisms. And these changes in society are known as structural differentiation, where the structures or the wider elements in society, the institutions, are changing to meet the needs of people. So we've got material needs now through the development of industry, through the Industrial Revolution, the Enlightenment. Remember, that's a scientific revolution, so people can see what kind of goods they can own and consume. So the structures in society change, and structural differentiation is this evolutionary process in society where the groups in the influential classes and statuses in society change to meet the needs of people. So you were asked to do a 10-minute summary, which you can try and do again, to write out a story as though you're teaching a Year 5 student about how we could explain this idea. So we came up with some really good creative stories. Some of you acted these out, where we were thinking about how once upon a time, over 120 years ago, a clever man called Emil Durkheim lived, and he believed that society evolved slowly over time, and his best friend Talcott Parsons believed that that happened through the process of agile. So you can think about all of those things. And we looked at these key terms. You need to make sure that you understand all of these key terms that are tied in with this consensus approach. Social equilibrium, maintaining balance, and maintaining this cohesive balance over periods of change. Anomie, again, the state of normlessness which can occur if this doesn't happen appropriately. Structural differentiation, the changes in the social systems in order to adapt to the material needs of the society. Status roles, remember that these are functionalists. Our consensus theorists believe that the inequalities are a good thing. All of the parts of agile that we can look at. Remaining objective, remember that these sociologists would study society as a science, measuring social facts as things, and making sure that we look at patterns and trends. The collective consciousness, that learning of norms and values that people share to maintain cohesion and social solidarity over times of change. Control being by the dominant groups, mainly by the institutions, and so on. So they're the key things that you need to be looking at when it comes to the consensus theories of society, and next lesson we will evaluate these.